What is up, guys? Gabe here and welcome back to another video. On today's video we're going to be taking a look at how to edit like your favorite blogger or Instagrammer. I've gotten a few inquiries about you guys about edit like this person, that person, so I was taking a look at all their profiles, how they edit, and I came to the conclusion that a lot of them have similar editing styles, or at least the base of their editing is quite the same. So I decided to make this tutorial for you guys in order to tackle those, and as we go along I'll explain the differences that you can make to make your pictures look like someone else's. But without further ado, let's jump right into this edit tutorial and see what it's all about. Okay, so whether you want to edit like Zoe Laws, whether you want to edit like Leonie Hain from Haute Couture, Emily Luciano is another one, or even Sarah from Collage Vintage. So with this preset you'll be able to achieve those looks that you just saw from those bloggers and many other bloggers that I didn't get to mention. So without further ado, let's jump into what this edit is all about. Let me show you what I did. Let me show you the ins and outs of the edit and what you can do to achieve different styles or to emulate someone else's style more closely. Alright, so this is the image that we're going to edit and emulate those styles. I've already went ahead and edited this, so if you go here to the develop module, you can see already that I've done all my changes. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go down the list and explain to you guys what I did here in order to achieve this look. Just as a point of reference, this is where the image started, and this is it after the preset, the blogger preset that I created. Exposure wise, I pushed it up a little bit. Contrast, I left it alone. This is pretty much where the magic is for these blogger edits. It's taking the highlights down so that you get back a lot of the detail from the sky and pushing the shadows up so that you get a lot of detail when you're dealing with clothing and environments where there's a lot of detail, like when they go to like Positano, or you know, all these beautiful places that they're going to. They want to showcase, you know, the street. They want to showcase every little detail of what's in there, and they do so by pushing those shadows almost all the way up to 100. In some cases you can push it all the way to 100 and it doesn't really affect the picture that much. I tend to bring it down to about 80 something, not all the way to 100, because depending on your camera and your sensor, it may react in a way that it creates some undesirable looks and feels there. So whites tends to bring them down, blacks pushing them up again just to kind of mimic what highlights and shadows are doing. Clarity, bring it down a little bit so that it's not so crisp and sharp. It looks more like a film emulation or something like that. Saturation, I noticed that they tend to bring it down quite a bit because what they do in the color schemes, and we'll get to that in a minute, what they do there amplifies the saturation. So what they do, or what I think they do, is that they bring the saturation down here. This is pretty much also where the magic happens for these type of edits. You bring the highlights, the clipping down a lot so that the whites are not pure white. If you see here, we're editing alongside a pure white slate, and if I go ahead and I zoom in here and then I zoom out, and then you can kind of take a look here at these whites. These whites are not, these whites here are not pure white, and these are. Also here in this wall, you can see that they're more thrown off to the gray side, and that's done by this aspect or part here of this semi S curve that we got going on here. Also, the blacks have been pushed up so that they're not pure black. If you zoom here, you can see that there's a little bit of detail going on in there after this picture loads. There we go. There's a little bit of detail still there in that black part, that darker area of the image, so that it's not all super dark. So there's always that detail in those shadows as well, and that's something that's very common for these blogger edits as well. Here in the oranges, this is where they control their skin tones. Usually I see them that they bring it down in the luminance and they bring it a little bit up in the saturation, and they play with the hue accordingly to their skin tone. This is something that you're gonna have to finesse because every person's skin is different and it reacts differently to edits. So you may want to play around with this until you get it just looking right, okay? Something else that I've seen with these type of edits in particular is how they handle the greens. the greens are something that's very particular to a lot of these blogger edits as well. Usually either they bring the greens to a more orangey side so that all the shrubbery and all the palm trees look kind of orange, or they bring the saturation down to a point where everything is kind of muted, like you see Zoe Lazdu or Emily Luciano. They kind of do this where the greens are not pure crispy green, they're more like subdued type of green, and they do that by playing with this color tab right here. The blues is something that's very particular to some bloggers as well. I myself like to throw them into this like minty color and desaturate them a bit. Some other people leave them blue, you know, like Collage Vintage, she leaves her blues blue, as you can see in some of her pictures. But some of the other popular bloggers also put their blues into the teals, and it's a great look and I like it, so that's why I decided to create this preset with this look. Also the luminance, they bring it down so that they can bring more detail into that sky. As you can see how the sky is reacting to this luminance thing here. So you can play with this and you can put it to wherever you desire. I think that around there, -58, looks pretty even and pretty great. What we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve is evenness throughout the picture, from top to bottom, from highlights to shadows to midtones. Just create a very even and pleasing palette. So that's what we're trying to do with this edit. Nothing much going here in this split toning. As you can see, there's 1 there and a 0, but there's not much going on there. Sharpening, I added a little bit of sharpening just to counteract the effects of the grain and the diminished clarity here by 0.5. That usually tends to take away a little bit of sharpening, so I go ahead and I add it when I get down to this tab in the sharpening. No noise reduction because there's no noise in the picture. This that you're seeing right here comes from the added grain. There's a little bit of grain added here, which is also typical to some of these bloggers. If you don't like it, and if you feel that it doesn't go with your feed or the way that you want to edit your pictures, then by all means you can just go ahead and turn it off, and you get a more clean looking image like so. But for my taste, I want to leave it, you know, there at 21 and a size of 45, and I think that looks pretty good. So that's basically the basis of how to edit like a blogger. Now I'm gonna jump into some other photos and show you what the edit looks like applied to different scenarios and different settings. So this is a scenario where you can see where the preset was put, and I tweaked it slightly to achieve this look, and I actually posted this photo on my Instagram. You can go see it. It was using that same preset or filter. This one was also edited with that same preset and filter. It was just slightly tweaked to again get those skin tones to look the way I wanted them to, and to get the greenery and the sky look the way I wanted it to. This one as well, my friends Alex and Gabby, it was also made using the same preset. So as you can see, I was able to pull out different looks and different styles with the same preset, so it can kind of indicate you the range of what you can do with this preset if you just go ahead and you tweak it to your specific needs or liking. And that is it, guys. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys on the next video.